Okay, this is how you pay your employees more money. Everybody wants to pay their employees more money. You know, I'm the same way. Any business owner is the same way. We all wish we could pay our employees 20, 25 bucks an hour, because then if we could do that, they'd probably never leave us. You know, don't think for a second we don't want to pay you guys that amount of money. There's ways to do it, and I'm going to show you in this video different ways. I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can make this happen so that you don't lose your employees. And here again, it doesn't mean that you're not going to lose them, but it certainly helps when you can pay them better money. This is a lesson that I've had to learn over the years, and I want to show you guys ways to do it. Okay, these are some of the things that you can do. So number 1, you take home less money. Now think about that. For example, let's say an employee comes up to you and they want, to make some more money. They're like, George, I'm just not making enough here. It's hard for me to pay my bills, blah, 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 blah. Well, the first thing I look at is, look, if you went and bought yourself a brand new truck and you got a house payment and a truck payment and you overextended yourself, that's not my issue, okay? I'm not responsible for what you did. However, at the same time, you're a valuable employee to me. So what can I do, right? So if you're valuable to me, even though you may have made poor decisions, and it doesn't matter what the reason actually is. If I think I'm paying you adequately, I'm probably not going to give you a raise. But if you come to me and I fear for losing you, I may give you a raise. Or I may just tell you to hit the frickin' bricks, because I get tired of hearing that too. I get tired of the constant, oh, I need a raise, I need a raise, I need a raise. But there's ways to handle it. So the first one is money out of your pocket, okay? Basically, if you think about this, you could give them a $1 raise. Okay, and I take home $40 less a week. Okay, not that big of a deal, right? So think about some of that stuff when you're making that decision. It's not my favorite thing to do, obviously, because, like anybody else, you want as much money as you can pull out of your business, right? Number 2, my personal favorite, is raise your prices. I don't care what anybody says, you can always raise your prices. This is what fascinates me, that I'm just shocked at. I look around and I remember being in Florida and watching the lawn care prices just being terrible there, And I thought to myself, my God, this is just freaking horrible. And you go to buy a gallon of milk and it's a fortune, or buy a 12-pack of beer, it's a fortune, Whatever you get a little bag of groceries and it's $200. It's like, what in the hell, right? So I look at all those things. And then I think, okay, now I got to take my vehicle into the shop and I got to get that fixed. And they're charging me $100 an hour for mechanic work. And the parts are, $100 for this, $400 for that, whatever. Needs a whole new computer chip, $1,600 or some shit, And I think to myself, Jesus, man, my wages don't go up at all, but yet everything else around me just keeps going up, right? So don't think for a second that you can't raise your prices in your business to accommodate this. I do this all the time. This is how I handle that situation. This is how I pay my people better, okay? So there's 2 things I do, and that is definitely by far the one I like the most. And believe me, when I tell you you can raise your prices, you absolutely can raise your prices. You don't need to do it. You don't need to make a massive jump, Just do it enough to cover what you're trying to do, okay? If you're trying to give 1 or 2 people a nice pay increase, okay, you can raise it a little bit. You can say maybe if you're charging $1,000 a day for landscaping, maybe up it to $1,020, up $1,030, $1,050, whatever you need to do, And again, I'm just making up these numbers as I go along. Don't hold me mathematically to them, but these are things that you can do, and they're just hidden in there, okay? Everybody has this going on. You guys should be doing this too. And don't think, and I've done this. I've done this when we were, I think the last time I did this, for a lawn care for just these small little average city lots that were like 35 bucks a piece. And I think we went to like 37 or something. And that way I could give my guys a little more money. It was a slow, gradual bump. You know what I mean? So that worked out well for us, and we were able to make it happen. And that's just one thing that I highly recommend you do if you're trying to save those employees, because I'll tell you what, if you have good employees to go out and find replacements, that's a bitch. Now on the other hand, if you got lousy employees and you don't give a shit, don't give them a raise. It goes both ways. All right, that being said, Then the third way, and we've done this as well in the past, is give them profit sharing. Okay? And profit sharing can be a beautiful thing. It really can, because when it helps you get the employee focused on what actually all goes into this. Sometimes you can't help but have your employees around you, like when you're trying to, you show up on the job, okay, and I've got the contract in front of me. I'm going over it with the employees, like, okay, we got to do this, 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 and this, okay? And, I don't mind if some of the employees see what we're making on this thing, okay? But I don't want them to look at a $10,000 contract and say, holy shit, is he raking in the money, They don't realize all the expenses that I have coming out of that. So when you do profit sharing with them, you can sit them down and you can say, hey, look, all right, this is what we have. Here's our expenses. And then this is what's left after everybody's paid. Here's your labor. Here's my labor. Here's all the equipment charges, all the materials we need to get the job done. And this is what's left. Okay, so if you offer them 1% or 3% or 2% or whatever percentage you come up with, you need to have that in there, because they will pay attention more to what's going on. Believe me, when there's profit sharing involved, they'll know that, hey, we can't make mistakes like this. We can't just, we use 10 bales of straw. Well, we could have got by with 7 bales of straw or 6 bales of straw, which would make profit sharing go up even farther. Or maybe if we cared about the topsoil and we spread it out appropriately and we didn't leave 6 inches of it in one spot and 8 inches of it in another spot. I mean, if we'd have just done 3 inches across the whole thing, we'd have saved a whole truckload of topsoil there, Well, if that topsoil is $500, then, his percentage out of that, do the math, it all adds up. And the employees, as they go through this, they get to see, I guess you call it the benefit of it, is not only do they get paid better, but they get to see where that money actually goes, and they get a better appreciation and a better understanding of you. Okay? Well, they're also going to know what you make, and if you're out there charging $100 an hour for yourself, then they know that. But that's where I would sit them down and I would say, look, I've been doing this for 20 years. This is what I get. And I would do that explanation with them, like, look, when you go to an automotive shop, what do they charge you? There's usually a big sign on the wall. All automotive repairs are $100 an hour or $140 an hour or whatever it is, right? And just go through that. Use a few examples. I know our skid steers and dump trucks and stuff is way up there what those guys charge. But if you use those examples, you help your employees to better understand why you charge the way you do. And also that, I have 6 months to make that money. Okay, so if I'm charging $50 an hour labor, let's say for an example, for your employee, then you want your employee to understand that even though I charge that, here's what happens. There's your wage first off. Then there's all the taxes that I have to pay that I have to match, okay? And then all the FICA crap and all that. And then there's the unemployment, there's workman's comp. So there's a lot of additional costs that go into this thing. And like any job that's set up, I mean, it is set up so that you make some money off of all these different aspects of it, right? And then at the end of the day, this is what you have, okay? So I will tell you, if you do profit sharing, it is time consuming. It really is, because you have to sit down and you don't want them to feel like they were gypped, okay? And here's a good example. You could do a job, you go out and do a job for say $1,500. You went and put in a lawn one day for $1,500, okay? You can set them down and they might only get a $10 or a $20 bonus out of that, and they might think that you gypped them, okay? But what they don't realize is some jobs you'll make good money at and other jobs not so good money. It's not like it's a perfect stream of revenue that comes across all the time. You've got ups and downs. I mean, I've done this. I'm sure everybody out there has done it, where you've bid jobs. Some of them you bid too low. And then you're like, crap, we're barely making any money on this. And all of a sudden, you'll do another job later in the week, and all of a sudden, you made $2-3 grand in one day, and you're going, holy crap, right? And you're like, God, we busted that out. I mean, it worked perfect, just like clockwork. Everything was just kicking, right? And so you'll have days like that. And I think with profit sharing, sometimes employees don't get that in their head. They're doing the math on that job right away. They're like, it's $1,500, I should get $20 or $30 or $50 or whatever. And then if they don't get that, then that's the thing. You have to sit down. If they don't get that money, they're going to be upset with you. And they might harbor it inside. They might be just thinking, oh, he kind of gypped me on that one, And they'll just let it swelter inside, and then eventually it comes out in a different way, and it's generally an ugly way. It's usually a fight out rolling around in the frickin' dirt out there with them, because tempers flare or whatever. Seems to be the way of the landscaper. I don't know why, but it's just the way things go. I think it's them. What do you think? I don't know. I don't know why I even did that. But anyway, as long as they don't steal my little Debbies, I'm golden, right? So, that being said, I think profit sharing can be a good route, a good avenue to take, but it is very time consuming, and you got to do it every day, and you got to make them understand that, look, sometimes when I bid these things, I didn't expect that breakdown here. I didn't expect that the topsoil, it took all day for them to get here. What we should have done in a half a day, now it took all day. And you got a lot of explaining to do with all of these different things, And of course, they're not going to mind when you do make that $3,000 profit or whatever, and if you were giving them 10% and they get $300 or whatever, they're not going to mind that at all, right? But that's why I'm not a big fan of that. I think I would rather just come in and bid a little higher on my jobs and kind of absorb it there. That way, if you're paying these guys $20 an hour or whatever you're paying them, 15, $20 an hour, they know that going in. They're not getting gypped. They know that they're getting their money, and it just seems to be a lot easier. Okay, so that being said, that is by far my favorite way to do it, just raising your prices. The second one would be profit sharing, and then last and least favorite is the money coming out of my pocket, But sometimes if you don't want to raise your prices, if you already think your prices are too high, you don't want to run that route. You don't want all the hassle of the profit sharing because you have to explain everything all the time. And the other thing, it's not just explaining it. You have to sit down and write it all down. You've got to sit there and say, well, we used 15 bales of straw. We used, 300 yards of topsoil or whatever. And then you're doing the math on all these things. You're going to sit there for an hour at the end of every day when you could be sucking a cold beer down. Instead, you got to sit here and do math and explain everything to them. And then they might argue with you and say, well, I didn't think we used that much topsoil, or you're the one that put that straw on so heavy, we didn't need that much straw. Or, you used how many bags of seed? Well, you didn't have to put 5 bags on there. You could have got by with 3. Avoid that argument. I'm telling you. Just raise your prices a little bit so that you can offset them, raise their dollar per hour wage. That's what I think is the best thing. It's what works best for me. You guys leave me your comments down below. If you have other ways of doing it, let me know about that too. Share it with everybody. I'm sure they'd like to know. If you like the video, hit the like button. Please don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to hit the little bell notification thing. Because if you hit that, you'll be notified every time there's a new video, because YouTube's not going to let you know that it's there. As always, thanks for watching.